Stories number 1. Aita for not wanting my girlfriend to go inside her baby daddy's house after she cheated on me with him 3 days ago. Hey everyone, I couldn't fit it all in the title, but that's the gist of it. For some background, in a 25-year-old guy, and my partner is 26. We've been dating for about 5 months now. About 4 days ago, I found out that during an argument we had, she went to her baby daddy's house to chill while her kid was there and she kissed him. I confronted her about it, and she seemed very apologetic, so I took her back when we reconciled. I told her that stricter boundaries needed to be set in her co-parenting relationship because my trust in her had been damaged. She agreed and said she would prove it to me. Fast forward 4 days, it's her kid's birthday, so we celebrated at her house. However, some issue with her mom triggered her, putting her in a mood the next day. So when I asked, hey, can we go do something together with the kid, she responded, no, I'm going to spend time alone with the kid. That then turned into, I'm going to go drop the kid off at my baby daddy's house. I asked her if she was planning to stay there, explaining that I wasn't comfortable with them being in the same space together at the moment. She replied, bro, bye. I'm not going to do you dirty, to which I said, absolutely not, I trusted you once, and this situation is still fresh. I'd really appreciate it if you didn't stay there. She ignored my message, went inside his place, and an hour later said, my kid is opening her gifts. Another hour after that, she told me she was leaving. So, Aita for not wanting my girlfriend to be inside her baby daddy's house, even though it was her kid's birthday. Edit. I get that I should have left, but this was my first step-parent relationship. I honestly did and know how to handle it, but yeah, I should have left when she broke that boundary. Stories number 2. Aita for dating other people. I've been dating this guy for almost a year. We both decided, due to our schedules, we didn't want anything serious. Everything was good for the first couple of months, but recently he has been distant. I really didn't think much of it. Last month he let it slip that he was on a dating site. Okay, cool, so I started going on dates as well. He wanted to hang out last week and I told him I couldn't because I had plans. When we finally got together, I told him I went on date and it was horrible. Apparently what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander, because he flipped out since even though he was on dating sites, he wasn't going on dates, which I don't believe. We got into an argument, and I stated offhandedly, you should always interview while employed. Not after. Needless to say, that didn't go over well. I don't think I did anything wrong, but he's upset because he thinks we should talked about it. But he didn't talk to me before joining a dating app. Stories number 3. Date was much larger than his pics. So I 25F matched with a guy 31 meters on Bumble about a month ago. We've been chatting for a while and we finally were able to make plans to see each other a couple of days ago. He was very attractive and fit. Based on the photos on his profile, the only thing was I could sort of tell some of the photos were a few years old. I asked him about it and he told me that the photo that I actually thought he looked the best in was taken recently, which made me feel a lot better. He said he doesn't take a lot of photos of himself, which was the reason for some of the older pics. I didn't question any further, as I know it's typical for guys to not really take a lot of pics. So anyways, fast forward to our date. I meet him at a bar and I almost didn't recognize him when I walked in. He was at least 50 pounds heavier in person and also shorter than he said he was on his profile. I was taken aback by this but didn't say anything as I thought it would be rude. I ended up having a good time with him, and I don't find him unattractive despite being much larger in person. The only thing is I'm a little weirded out that he would lie about something as basic as what he looks like. Should I have called him out? Feeling conflicted because I do like him, but I really dislike how dishonest he was about his appearance. Stories number 4. Aita for refusing to bring my ex's other children along on days out with our 2 sons. I 3-2M have 2 sons, Jamie 11N and Jaden 10M. Their mother and I were high school sweethearts who had the bows before we finished college. We had planned to get married, but then I found out my ex was cheating on me and I broke up with her. Jaden was 14 months old at the time. We split custody and I paid child support for the first 18 months post-breakup, until my ex was earning similarly to me, which meant child support was C-stand costs were simply split with nobody giving anyone extra. My ex had another son 2 years after we broke up. The father was not in the picture. She told me he was the guy she cheated on me with and that she realized he was a pause. etc., and asked if I would consider adopting her son and raising him as my own alongside our boys. I told her I wasn't going to do that. We ended up arguing about this for so long that she had time to get into another relationship and move this man in. So I told her that he should be a father figure to her son since they plan on building a life together. Within a year that guy was gone and she had a daughter he fathered. I continued being a dad to my sons, only I didn't interact with her other two children, but I would see them from a distance. During exchanges she asked me to adopt both her additional children, stating they needed a father. I told her to go and find their fathers. Then she eased up when she met her husband. I thought maybe it was finally the end of her trying to make me responsible for her other children. She has a child with her husband now too, so 5 in total in her household when our boys are included, but it has not lasted. My ex has admitted her husband isn't involved in the lives of her other children and they are still missing out on having a father, so she asked me to include her 3 other children, and that does include the child she has with her husband. In days out I have with my sons, she said, especially during summer and around Christmas when I take them to do fun holiday-themed activities. It's not something she can give her other children, and she wants them to experience these things also. She finds out when I do these things with my boys because she will quiz them about their time with me. And each time she gets angry, but when the boys were with her 2 weeks ago she got extra pissed. She had mentioned to me that her son, the oldest of her other 3 kids, didn't get much for his birthday and she had wanted to make it up to him. That was meant to mean me. So when she heard our woes and I had visited an amusement park around his birthday, she blew a fuse and asked me how I can be such an asshole to children. She told me I should be doing better as a father. Stories number 5. AO for being upset that my husband told me I had to lose 20 pounds while high from a medical procedure. My husband got a vasectomy today. I am 10 weeks postpartum and started dieting yesterday. I am very upset with my body, especially as I have had 3 C-sections. My husband knows and normally does not make negative comments about my body other than saying I should consider squats after his procedure today. You were being silly, and he was high from Xanax and Tramadol. I started singing about a food from a restaurant as it came up in conversation. He said it was weird and that I shouldn't be singing so happily about a food until I had lost 20 pounds. He was serious and not joking. I felt Joe just drained from me and I felt so deflated. I know that he isn't as attracted to me when I am overweight, but to hear it out loud is another thing. It really hurt me and I want to avoid him. Aside from the necessary post-op care, bring him ice, drinks, etc. But other than that I don't want to speak to him outside of necessary communication. I had just started calorie counting and exercising and healthy food prep yesterday, and now it feels like the wind has left my sails. I feel like this highlights how he really feels. We had been doing a lot better as a couple lately and I thought we had been connecting more. Should I look past this as he was high? Update. He is woken up and doesn't remember saying it. I haven't had broached a larger conversation about it with him yet. He saw what I wrote in Messenger. Stories number 6. Tattoos are for real men. Yesterday I was sitting in the hospital waiting to get the necessary lab work done before my upcoming surgery. There's a lady sitting across from me, an older man beside me, and another older man across from him. I have a lot of tattoos on my arms. And I'm a woman. Out of nowhere, the older man beside me strikes up a conversation with the guy across from him about how in his day only real men who served their country had tattoos, and says no offense with a smirk. The lady across from me raises her arms down showing me she has tattoos, and rolls her eyes. At this point, I really just couldn't help myself. You see, I in fact am 3rd generation Navy. A woman. I know the horror, so I say to the older gentleman, Boomer, what do you think of this tattoo? My Navy tattoo that takes up most of my arm that was facing away from him. He looked puzzled. I said I guess real women can also have tattoos and serve their country, and my name got called. Hopefully that haunted him for the next 5 minutes until he decided he was still superior to real women because he's a real man. Stories number 7. Tinge Match asked me to be his +1 to a destination wedding, but is leaving me to fend for myself. Hi THT. My sister is a long-time listener and said I should post here to get your thoughts and advice. I 27F matched with Drew 27 meters on Hinge a few months ago. We occasionally text and Snapchat. However, we have yet to meet in person. He's really nice and I enjoy talking to him. but he recently asked me something that took me by surprise. Drew's cousin is getting married for weeks from now, and the wedding is in a city 550 miles from the city where we live. While talking on the phone the other night, Drew asked me to be his +1 to the wedding. When I asked him if we would drive there, he said, "I'm flying. But you can drive if you want. I don't have a car, which is not uncommon in the city we live in." But I was asking, since Drew does have a car. After talking about it a bit more, it was clear that he was not going to offer to pay for my travel expenses. He did assure me, however, that he already covered the cost of a hotel room. The cherry on top is that a few days after this conversation, he told me that he's moving to a different state in 3 weeks. Is it presumptive of me to expect that he plans and pays for transportation for the both of us? Is it weird that he doesn't want to travel together? Stories number 8. Aita for removing my pregnant friend given her circumstances. I 22 and follow people from social media. I find out they're pregnant, and I know they don't have the resources for one. They're all my age or younger and typically have no education, no career, no house, no money, and an iffy relationship. Typically the boyfriend is a bum. I grew up with a single mom and was poor my entire life. It was awful, and I vowed to never bring a kid into the world unless I could provide for it comfortably. I usually don't care about unfollowing them because we weren't close to begin with. However, an old close friend of mine posted her pregnancy announcement last week. She works as a waitress, doesn't have her own place, and has no education. I am all those things too. In not looking down on her for that, I met up with her about 6 months ago because she was getting married, and she expressed wanting to go back to school. She had been dating the guy for a year. In the beginning of it, she was still texting her ex, who she just broke up with shortly before this relationship. She would also have guys try to get with her the entirety of the relationship, and she would always just say she has a boyfriend but would never remove them and let them keep messaging her. They got married 2 months ago and she is now pregnant and not going to school anymore. She's bringing a child into poverty. I don't agree with her life decisions and I can't congratulate her because I am honestly not happy for her. I didn't tell her anything, but I unfollowed her. Aita. Stories number 9. For years ago I met my soulmate, and he was insane. For years ago, we randomly bumped into each other in a cafe in Tulum. He was from America. I'm from England. It was a wild holiday romance and I fell head over heels. He was crazy. He had the strangest ideas about things and we would just talk for hours and hours about aliens, space, conspiracy theories, everything. No conversation with him was ever normal. I just loved knowing what was going on in his mind. It was always crazy. We spent 2 weeks together in Mexico. Then I met up with him in his hometown again in the US a few weeks later. I realized he was slightly dangerous, a bit of a bad boy. But every day was exciting. I could be myself entirely around him. I've never known anyone be so unapologetically themselves, with a complete lack of any kind of need to fit in. We had a long-distance relationship for 2 months and we spoke every day, literally 12-hour phone calls. I loved hearing his voice. Then, I finally went back to see him for a whole month with the idea of making plans to live with him. But when I got there I discovered a new side to him. A darker side. He was controlling, misogynistic, aggressive. I found out he had a history of domestic violence and had gone to jail for this, and was on a 5-year probation. I realized he was hearing voices and he was not mentally stable. I ran away. I loved him, and he never laid a finger on me, but I knew it wasn't safe. But still my heart ached for him. That was 4 years ago. In April this year we reconnected. We met up, and he apologized for how he treated me. We spent another incredible day together where we had so much fun. He was so happy. I was so happy. Nothing happened between us. We both acknowledged that we are both from completely different worlds. I met up with him again last weekend for 2 days and again, I had the best time. Never have I met anyone I click with so well. It's like our energies match perfectly again. We didn't hook up, but when we hugged goodbye it was emotional. We both know that we can't be together, that there is so much love between the two of us. I don't know what exactly I need advice on, but what should I do? I feel like I have a soulmate who I can't be with. I couldn't allow myself to be with someone with his history of violence towards women, but I feel so safe around him. It's a paradox. Is it best I cut contact again? Is it possible for someone with this history to be a good person? I see so much goodness in him, but I also see the bad. Stories number 10. I need advice, badly. I'll try to keep this as succinct as possible. I've always felt things were off with my interpersonal relationships from a young age and was essentially brainwashed into learning to ignore my intuition, accepting excuses from others, and basically constantly feeling stepped on any time I felt something was amiss and spoke up. I was quickly reminded that since I was the one bothered by something, that I was the problem. Fast forward after some big life changes, I felt a really enormous sense of clarity, that I had been blind all along and that none of these people in my life actually cared about me, and that most of them were really bad, toxic people, namely my family. I was so incredulous at this profound realization that I very quickly took it to them, thinking that they too have been blind all along, that we have been treating ourselves and each other very poorly, and if we only realized it, we'd immediately cease all of those actions because we clearly love each other and would never hurt each other intentionally, right? Well, in retrospect, my words, delivery, and timing were far from skillful, and none of my family seemed to understand what I was saying at all. This has left my relationship with them absolutely destroyed, no matter how many times I've tried to circle back in a more skillful manner. They don't want to hear it, they seemingly can't understand and don't remember any of the countless memories I can recall with absolute clarity. They view anything brought up from the past as an attack and immediately start trying to attack me rather than listening to any of the stories objectively. It is rather plain to me, now after all these years of trying and getting nowhere, that they simply do not care about me, and that I've been nothing more than a toad to them essentially all these years. Someone to talk at but never someone to listen to. I guess I just don't know what to do anymore. They are extremely toxic people, and I've had to essentially block them all, or go very low contact. I recall the Sutta about the ultimate way to repay one's parents is essentially by instilling virtue, etc., where there is none, but I don't know what to do or how to proceed. My parents are following in the exact same footsteps as their parents, who were abusive and ultimately lived out their days alone. When all things are mentioned to a third party in totality, they see everything I've seen over the course of my life too. Stories number 11. I had my first accident as an adult, and it was mortifying. I'm an adult and recently had an embarrassing accident. For the first time in my life, I've always struggled with using the bathroom outside of my home, so I usually only go when I'm at home. The other day, on my way back from work, I ended up wetting myself that day. I had been out for longer than usual and drank more water than I normally would, because it was so hot. About 2 hours before my shift ended, I was already at my limit and almost wet myself several times during work, but I managed to hold on. After finishing work, I somehow made it onto the train and to my local station, but just a few minutes away from my house. I couldn't hold it anymore, and unfortunately, I ended up having an accident in a somewhat busy shopping street. It was incredibly embarrassing, and have been struggling with the humiliation ever since. Has anyone else experienced something like this, and how did you deal with it? Stories number 12. I am 24 years old and have never experienced love in my life. My parents don't give a shit about me. My mother never answers my calls, and when I miscarried my kid, all she sent was a brief text saying I'm sorry. Zero emotional support, or just any support. She just doesn't care. And our relationship is extremely one-sided. My father hasn't hugged me in 15 years. My extended family has probably forgotten that I exist. I never experienced romantic love either. If you are a female with narrow hips like me, it is impossible for a man to fall in love with you. Due to biology, you will always be nothing but a disposable cum dumpster to them, until a woman with nice, wide, or at least normal birthing hips comes along. He will then drop you and marry that girl within a year, despite telling you that he doesn't want anything serious. I feel like I'm a burden on everyone if I die. I know that nobody would come to my funeral. My mother would excuse herself with work. My father wouldn't care. People I consider friends would likely never even find out that I'm dead. So, how do I fix this? How do I find someone that would love me? Or are some people just disgusting and unlovable by nature? Stories number 13. Me refuse to give information needed to resolve the issue. Client: this video won't upload to the site. It has an error message. Engineer: the screenshot is not clear. Could you provide the video having the issue and attach it to the ticket? Is this all videos or just this one? For days go by. Client: I still cannot upload this video to the site. Can you fix this please? Engineer. Sorry to hear you are still having trouble. Can you provide the video that is not working? Is this all videos or just this one? Checks other open tickets. Check audit logs to see other users able to upload videos. Fine. No other tickets regarding videos logged. 3 days go by. Engineer. Hi, as per our policy, if no response after 5 working days is provided, we will resolve the ticket. Due to lack of information, we cannot progress with this ticket without your cooperation. If you have the information, please respond within 7 working days to reopen the ticket. After then, you will need to log a new ticket. 2 days go by. Client. I demand this issue be escalated as it was resolved without my permission. I still cannot upload the video. Check the logs. You do not need me to respond. Engineer. Hi, I can see from the audit log it is this content with this ID that you cannot upload at this date. Time it error I can find in the backlogs for the time of you editing. Uploading content only shows an error code and a vague message. Please provide the said video so I can check the naming, the file type, and the size of the document. 5 days go past. Client. This is still not resolved. Escalate this. Engineer escalates it. Escalations resolve and close the ticket. After waiting for said video for 3 days and make the client log a new ticket. Stories number 14. Aita for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she stole my baby name. Throw away because my sister's on here. Alright, Reddit, buckle up because this one's a doozy. So my 28F sister 32F and I have always had a rocky relationship. She's always been the golden child. Well, I'm basically the black sheep of the family growing up. She was the straightest student, the prom queen, and the one who got a full scholarship to some fancy college while I was, well, just me. Fast forward to now, I'm 6 months pregnant with my first child, a little girl. I've had a name picked out since I was like 12 years old. Isla Grace. It's a name that has so much meaning to me. Isla is a nod to our Scottish heritage, and Grace was the name of my best friend who passed away in high school. I've told my sister, my mom, my dad, and literally anyone who would listen that I was going to name my daughter Isla Grace. They all knew how important this name was to me. A few months ago, my sister got engaged. Her wedding is in 2 weeks. And everything's been about her, as usual, whatever, and used to it. But last week, during a family dinner, she casually announces that they've chosen their baby name for when they have kids. She's not pregnant. BTW. And guess what she says? Isla Grace. I honestly thought she was joking at first. But nope, she's dead serious. When I confronted her about it, she acted like it wasn't a big deal and said, well, you don't own the name. Besides, I think it sounds pretty with my last name. Excuse me, I nearly lost it. I told her she was being selfish and that she knew how much that name meant to me. She just shrugged and said I was overreacting. I was so pissed that I told her if she was going to use the name, I wouldn't attend her wedding. My parents are freaking out, calling me immature and telling me to just let it go because there are other names out there. My mom even had the nerve to say, it's just a name, sweetie, don't ruin your sister's big day over this. Now my whole family is mad at me, and I'm being treated like the villain for even considering skipping the wedding. My husband supports me, but he also thinks we should just go to keep to peace. I'm torn between wanting to stand my ground and feeling like maybe I'm blowing things out of proportion. So, Reddit, Aita for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she stole my baby name. Or should I just suck it up and let her have her way again? Stories number 15. Aita for cutting off my friend after her other friend stalked me. About a year ago in June, I messaged the person who has been, only to my recent knowledge, stalking me to ask them why I felt tension in our relationship. They sent me a giant paragraph about how I'm a control freak. I'm pedophilic for thinking Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender is cute since I was 8 years old, and I'm a bad influence on my friend, and then they blocked me. I found that extremely disrespectful, and I tried to put my foot down and distance myself from my friend because they didn't say or do anything about the fact that I was basically called a pedophile for nostalgia about a cartoon character over the course of the year and some months. I have done my very best to be open and communicative and offered weed and smoothies and handwritten letters to the person who insulted me with nothing in response. I have made events for my friend and others, and they have been invited and excluded themselves every single time, and then get upset that they are excluding themselves with an open invite. They had a panic attack on my friend's birthday, and because of that my friend asked me to not attend. A similar thing happened when I was hanging out with the group the stalker is a part of, and I was asked to leave right when I arrived. A third instance also happened at their bridal shower, where they tried to frame me as following them around the house and the yard when everyone else who was a witness said that that never happened. We come to a few days ago, my friend gets married, I'm the maid of honor, my stalker is sleeping in the living room, and all of us are in the dining room chatting before I leave. On previous days people had been sitting on the couch stalker were sleeping on, actively ruffling their hair, and they did not wake up, but my laughter in another room was enough for them to wake up and yell at me and subsequently everyone else. After this happened, my friend said that if anything like this ever happens again, my stalker would no longer be welcome in their home. Not even 24 hours later, they found a post I made on Facebook about a joke I made when they accidentally punched me in the face during the wedding, and then they brought up a treasure trove worth of screenshots from over a year from various burner accounts they have been following me on. They took pictures of posts about my parents who are not kind to me. They took pictures of posts about conflict between me and my friend and thought it was about them. When I confronted my friend about this, it was suddenly a two-way street, and I had been as much of a problem as the stalker. I told my friend that I feel very uncomfortable being friends with someone who is close to someone who would be openly hostile towards me but secretly follow me with a fake identity and take pictures of my life as evidence to tattletale on me right after they massively fuck up in front of everybody. My friend is trying to spin it as though she's trying to make everybody happy, and I keep saying stalker is not happy because they are excluding themselves, and they are always welcome to come. I have been excluded from many events because it makes stalker happier that I'm not there. Am I the off for no longer being comfortable being friends with someone who will not cut themselves off from someone who has been stalking me for over a year? Stories number 16. What can I really expect as a woman as I age? In 38, childless not by choice, and dating but not married, I constantly battle the internal and external messages that women lose value as we age. Men prefer younger employers. Prefer younger, it'll become invisible, irrelevant, lonely. I don't want to hurt my own feelings unnecessarily, but I also don't want to pretend like the truth isn't the truth, whatever that may be. I own 2 businesses, I have girlfriends, my parents are still alive, I take care of myself physically, my family of origin is close, I don't know why I keep failing to make a family of my own, and it hurts me tremendously, but it is what it is. So ladies, what's the truth? Are the things I'm afraid of just crap invented to control us? Or if not, how have y'all coped with such ugly truths? Stories number 17. GF exchanging information about our private life with an ex-sexual partner strange. I'm a 36 meters and my GF is a 31F. I entered the bedroom this morning and saw my GF sitting on the bed, typing on her phone with a bizarre look on her face. I told her what's up. She said that a guy she's talking with has problems, issues in his relationship supposedly. He's having second thoughts about having moved in with his GF and that the sex is bad, etc. So I told her, oh, that sucks. Who's the guy? She says Jeff. I said Jeff, the guy you had a one-night stand with 3 years ago in Banff. She says yes. I don't know any other Jeffs. Background. Jeff is a guy she met at a hotel while on a trip in Banff and had AONS with when we previously talked about our past partners. She mentioned Jeff was an awesome guy and that they clicked a lot sexually. They also had some similar interests like traveling. I said, okay, don't you find that strange that you both share intimate information about our relationships to each other? My GF said, not at all, because he's only a friend and that she's very happy with me. She says that our sex life is great. I agree with her on that. And that she wants to spend her life with me. She says that she told Jeff that she's very satisfied sexually in our relationship. I believe her on this. I tell her to be honest with me. If we broke up, would you call him to meet you again and have sex with him? She says yes. Absolutely. So I tell her that he's her backup plan. She says that she doesn't think about backup plans because she's happy with me. So I tell her, okay, let's pretend we flip the situation around, that I talk with an ex-partner that I had very good sexual chemistry with about our private life, and that she shares her unhappiness in her relationship about bad sex, moving in too early, etc. I tell her, would you like that? My GF immediately starts profoundly crying and says, No, she wouldn't. She then tells me she immediately stopped talking to him. I tell her that I didn't ask her to do that I simply find it strange that my partner would share private, intimate information with an ex-partner. My GF says that the whole situation makes her feel bad, and that she's scared about this causing issues down the road in our relationship. I told her that I love her. We then played a board game and went for a walk, hand in hand. Some background info. We've been together for 2 years. We have a very good sex life. My best partner so far out of 5 women. My GF says I'm her best out of 30 men. Our relationship had been very solid except for my fear of moving in with my GF. Moving in with her is causing me a lot of anxiety. I get overly attached to my residence and have a hard time moving all of my stuff. We never have any fights and we do a lot of activities together. I'm mostly an introvert that has been in long-term relationships, while my GF, strong extrovert, was in a long-term relationship from age 18 to 22 and then only casual relationships for 8 years. So I'm asking you fellow Redditors, am I the only that finds the whole situation strange? I didn't ask my GF to delete, block that guy. Nor did I tell her to stop talking to him. I simply want her to think about the situation personally. If I have any problems in my relationship, I address them with my partner. I don't go share intimate information to friends, especially ex-partners. Shouldn't that Jeff guy talk to his GF instead of sharing his issues with my GF? How would you react in a situation like this? Thanks for reading my story. Edit. To clarify some things in the comments. What I shared is 100% real. Some people were saying the whole thing is made up. I can assure you it is real. Someone said the situation was a meltdown. I don't know what your definition of a meltdown is. That this exchange was done respectfully, in a calm manner without shaming. We even held hands the entire time. No yelling, shouting, door slamming, finger pointing, etc. Some people said that her body count of 30 is probably much higher. She has a list in her cell phone of all the men she had intercourse with. She doesn't count oral on a man. She told me long ago, when we discussed our previous relationships, partners, that if she included oral on the guy, the list would be longer than 30. Stories number 18. Do painkillers violate the precept against causing intoxication? I recently had a surgery and my doctors prescribed me some quite strong morphine painkillers. I know from past experience that if I take them I experience drunk-like effects. The prescription says they are up to 4 times per day as needed. But the as needed part seems to suggest I don't strictly have to take them. I'm in a moderate amount of pain. But it's not too bad. I could get by with just ibuprofen or paracetamol, or even with nothing at all if I had to. But with the morphine, I would be in significantly less pain. Would I be violating the precept against causing intoxication by taking the morphine? Or is it okay given the intoxication is an accidental side effect of the desired outcome, pain relief? And are paracetamol and ibuprofen okay? They dull the pain senses, which is arguably intoxication, in a broad sense of the term. I am a layman, but I am also interested in what the rules would be for a monastic. Stories number 19. If I kicked my daughter out because of her abusive boyfriend, BD. I 49 FAM, a single mother of 6 kids. I have been through hell and back. My youngest to 2F has not always chosen even decent boyfriends. They have all been abusive. Now I will always give my last for my kids. She has lost so much every time she is with someone, but this last one she has lost more than she should. I have allowed them to move in with me because yet again she has lost another apartment due to this last BD not working or helping with bills. She lost her job, lost a car, and almost lost a child because he refused to put her in a car seat. The lil stinker is a solder. This past month things have gotten out of control, and it has gotten pretty violent usually, and I'm not around, and I don't hear about it till a day or so later. Both the times that I have been present, I did call the cops. He is now CT from house. She refuses to press charges and is constantly letting him in my house. Well, I have to work. I work overnights, so I can't know when he is here. When he is, when I get off, he jumps up and leaves before the police get here. I love my grandchildren and want to protect them at all costs, but how can I when she isn't even trying? I have been paying most of the bills and finally said I had enough and kicked him out. She works, but every time she gets paid he takes it. I have argued with her. This will not end well. She refuses to seek the help she is being offered from people who are trying to help protect her. Would if I put her out of my house? Stories number 20. How do you deal with heartbreak, and how do you heal? Losing in love. Hi everyone. I am currently hurting. Me and my boyfriend, Fiank, are on a break. He and I are both Christians and have been having sex before marriage. The other day, he decided we needed to take a break so he can focus on himself and God. This isn't a problem at all. I support him, but it doesn't stop my heart from hurting. He's the first man I've ever loved. I've had a bad hand when it comes to love from family, friends, and failed romantic relationships. It seems like I'm always alone. I give everything. I compromise myself, my beliefs, my values. I give until I have nothing else to give. I try to be selfless, present, helpful, supportive, anything I think they need. For the first time I met someone who didn't make me do all those things. Yes, we didn't follow the Bible about sex before marriage, but for once I felt like someone loved me for me, saw me for me, and still decided to stay. I support his decision. We both needed it honestly, yet it hurts. I love him so much, and am afraid that this break might be the beginning of the end. I don't have any resentment, just a lot of pain. How do you pick yourself up? How do you move on? How do you heal? How do you love someone from a distance? It's like someone giving you water for the first time and then taking it away. How do I find love within myself? Sorry for the rant, just looking for some advice. Stories number 21. Taking my niece shopping downtown. Need advice on where to find women's clothes. Hey, I intend to take my 14-year-old niece shopping downtown as a birthday gift. She's at that age where she really looks more like a young woman, so we'll probably be shopping in the women's section rather than the typical teenage spots. I also want to show her a different part of the city, help her see how people hustle, and give her a glimpse of the life downtown. The thing is, I'm not too familiar with where to shop for women's clothes in that area. Does anyone have suggestions on good places downtown, building names where we can find some trendy clothes that would suit a 14-year-old who looks older? Thanks in advance for any tips. Stories number 22. F for not wanting to isolate my cat so that my GF would sleep. Hi all. Recently, we've had a fair bit of disagreement with my current GF due to my cat meowing at night. My girlfriend has a very light sleep and is woken up really easily, and she usually has trouble getting back to sleep. However, I own a cat and that cat has been meowing at night, and she's deaf, so she meows really loud. We've tried literally everything to stop that behavior. Keeping the cat awake all day, preventing naps, hours of playtime, bought flowers before night time, locking the cat in a room for the night. Nothing prevents the meowing, unfortunately. And my GF says the situation is like torture as she is not getting sleep. However, now my GF wants to lock the cat in the cellar for the night, which has high dust, humidity, and no windows, and I find that a line is crossed there, so AITH for not wanting to put the cat in the cellar so that my GF could hopefully sleep. Stories number 23. AITA for mocking one of my students in class. I'm a middle school math teacher at a private school. One day, my kids were playing outside when an incident occurred. Some kid kicked a soccer ball at another kid on purpose, and it hit him in the leg really hard. It hurt so bad the kid started crying while holding his leg. He came to me and told me what happened. Then I got the other kid's side of the story. In the middle of that, the kid tried telling more things, and I just calmly told him to hold on and let me handle it. I told the kid never to do that again, and if he did, he would face consequences. A few days later, we were in class and the kid brought it up again. He said that his leg really hurt, and I was like, no, you were egging it on a little bit. And then I held my leg and pretended to cry like how he did. I was just trying to make light of and bring humor to the situation. It was meant as a light-hearted joke, but the kid didn't see it that way. The next day, I was having my planning period when the principal got on the intercom and told me to report to the office immediately. When I got there, the principal was there along with the kid's mother. She was red in the face and looked like she just got done crying. Turns out the kid had went to his mother and told him about me mocking him in front of the whole class. His mother asked me who in the hell I thought I was to do that to her son, especially in front of the whole class, and said that what happened to him was nothing to joke about. Also, the principal scolded me, saying that I didn't take that incident seriously enough. Apparently, I should have given him a detention or something right then and there instead of just a verbal warning. As for my punishment, the principal said that I was going to be put on leave for the rest of the week, and that I needed to undergo some sensitivity training. Stories number 24. Want to be aunt, not parent. Sorry, this is a little long. My brother had a child right after graduating high school, and my mother, who has always favored him, stepped right into care for this child. He married the baby mama, but it was very short-lived. Then, like most people in their early 20s, he wanted to be free and have fun. So my niece grew up with my mom, seeing her parents on occasion. And honestly, my brother would breeze in every couple weeks and be like a big brother to her. This always bothered me. She is now grown herself, married with 3 kids of her own. She is an excellent mother. Very proud of her. Well, about 10 years after having her, he met another toxic woman. They got married and began having kids right away. He actually knew her 2 weeks when she quit her job and moved in with him. So in the 20 years they have been married, she has never worked again. And they have had 6 kids. She is obsessed with babies. But once they get about 2 or 3 years old, she's not very interested anymore. He just kept giving in to this addiction to make her happy. Meanwhile, even though he has a great job, money has been tight. I helped them out some early on. I worried about my nieces and nephews, that as they continued to make more kids, after my helping, I quit doing so. But I firmly believe that my mom has continued to do so whenever she could. And mind you, she is on a very fixed income. She would not make it if my sister and I help her financially. That is one thing my sister will do, send money for my mom. So even after brother remarried, his first daughter was never a part of that family. The second wife did not want her to be. My mom, his enabler, has made every excuse under the moon about that. There is no excuse for that. Well, after 20 years of marriage and 6 kids, 2 are grown and another almost grown, 3 still young ones, his wife asked for divorce. I have no idea what all happened, as I do not want to get too deep into his drama. But since she has never had any desire to work, I assume there is another man promising her things. My mom had to move in with me about 5 years ago, due to health issues. I am her caregiver, including doctor's visits, picking up medicines, all the grocery shopping. Take her to do all her errands, cook for her, clean for her, etc. She has always loved to drive. Up until about 2 years ago, she still drove and could do more for herself, but suddenly became scared to do so. I have no idea what this is about. So that has actually made her more dependent. So his wife wanted a divorce and he came right to my mom for sympathy. He stayed with us a few months and it was absolute hell. I have always known he likes his beer, but had no idea how bad it was. He spent a considerable amount of time in the spare bedroom just drinking, when not working. And it would often make him confrontational. My mom would make excuses for this too. That he missed the kids so much and was depressed. I finally had to make it clear that it was my home and I was not having that. Shortly after that, he got his own place. I could tell my mom was furious with me, but there was not much she could say. And I stepped up for her. And she knows what he was doing was not right. So one of the teenagers got into it with their mom, and she called DCS on her mom. I have no idea who is right or wrong in that. This teenager can be drama, but so is their mom. It's really just a taste of her own medicine. But now there is a whole investigation going on. And my brother wonders if he may end up with custody of them all, because he is the one with the good job, who can provide. I can tell he is not thrilled with this idea, but he does love those kids. So he continually worries my mom's sick with all of this. I hear her on the phone multiple times a day since I work from home, trying to be his therapist, telling him how to go about it, finding a bigger place, enrolling them in a different school and making it work if he gets them. But I can also tell from these conversations that he's trying to get her to assist him with it. There is no way she can do that. And if she volunteers to do it, that will all just fall on me. And I cannot take any more on. I have had some female health problems of my own, and I am probably going to have a major surgery. I have nothing else to give right now. I have no children of my own. So I have always doted on my nieces and nephews. Every vacation they have been on, I have provided it. And not to brag, but these have been nice vacations to the beach, Disney and even a cruise. I want to do this for them because we never got anything like that growing up. I have also paid for every single school lunch, for every one of them, since they have been in school. I know that seems minor, but when you think about $2.50 a day per child x 6, that adds up. And I've had them on a regular basis for years. They are at least with me one weekend a month, sometimes two. Some of the older ones do their own things now, but they are always invited. I have always also attended all events at school. School staff know me by first name. My brother works often and his wife has never been really interested in the kids unless they are babies. So I have been at school for holiday lunches, parties, field days, plays, awards, etc. And again, I do these things because I want to. I love my nieces and nephews. But here's where the new problem arises. I guess because I have done so much, it's almost expected now, as if I'm the third parent. But I am not, so I have felt for a while my brother is hinting to my mom for us to help in some way. I have made it clear, I do not want him moving in my house with all those children. I have a basement, which he has mentioned more than once. I work from home and I need to have quiet areas. And quite honestly, I do not want to do that. I want to be the cool aunt. If I wanted to be a mom, daily, I would have had my own children. And even if he's not hinting in that direction, he still seems to be wanting our help, in some capacity, if he gets custody. I don't think it's right to be obligated. Again, we are not the parents, of course, since our mom already raised a kid for him. I think her helping seems perfectly normal for him, but there are two things wrong with that. First of all, she is not 50 years old anymore. She is almost 80 years old and not in good health. And the second thing is that even if she agrees to anything, it will be her basically volunteering me, as I am her caregiver now, so hello. Then today I had to take a couple of hours off work to take her to a doctor's appointment. By the way, I am the only one that ever does this. Since she lives with me, and I work from home, my siblings just always assume I will do it. If I miss work hours, I still have to make those up. But I have just learned to pick my battles. So we got in the car and I could tell something was bothering her. Then out of nowhere, she says, if DCS decides kids can't stay with their mom, I will not let them go to foster care. We will have to take them in. I have no idea where that came from. So I reminded her that they have a whole other parent, her son. And that as long as there are two able-bodied parents, that's who they need to be with. For some reason, this made her so mad. She spent the rest of the ride ignoring me. And if it ever really came down to that, of course I would not let my nieces and nephews go to foster care. But I don't want to even offer this as an option, as I feel their parents will take advantage of it. And I hate to say that about my brother, but he has been enabled so much that I think he would. I honestly think he would let our elderly mom do the lion's share of it all, if I was not there playing defense. I called my sister for help, asking her to tell her mom that there is no way she can care for children at her age and health. She responded back with a text message saying, I don't want to be in the middle of all this. Like Hito. It just feels so defeated. These are problems that adults made for themselves. And they should be the ones stressing them and figuring them out. I went to check on mom before bed and give her her night medicines. And she informed me that if anything happens, she will be taking the kids in. I just had nothing left in me to argue tonight. I am having a lot of pain with my own health issues and stress to the max. But I guess tomorrow I am going to have to remind her that this is my home. I hate to play that card, as I have always wanted to feel at home. But it is my house, and again, I would not let my nieces and nephews go to foster care. She also told me today that I must not love them as much as I say, or else I would be stepping up, taking over. That is not my place, and it's not her place either. She is not gonna let this go easily. It's more a controlled thing with her. And the fact that she has an addiction of enabling my brother. She makes me feel like I'm a giant asshole. But I don't think I'm wrong for setting these boundaries. Me doing so much for these kids is now becoming a punishment to me, because as I asked her earlier, why is so much expected of me? But she does not expect the same for my sister, who is also their aunt. And her comeback was that my sister has not ever been close to them like I have been. So me being a good aunt means I'm supposed to take everything on. I just feel so taken advantage by people I have helped. Stories number 25. Aita for telling my girlfriend I won't propose again. And that next time it will be her, and it has to be as special as mine was. I too have been with my GF Lauren to 7F since I was 20 and she was 19, so 8 years. Around a year ago I asked her about the idea of marriage and getting engaged. As I asked her around the 5-year mark, and she said she did but wanted to wait another few years. That was fine with me, and I had assumed that 3 years was considered a few years. Knew for a fact that my GF did not want a diamond ring because when my sister got engaged she said that the ring was lovely, but she much preferred things like opal, her favorite, and would never choose a diamond ring. The ring I got was a gold band, a large oval opal stone center, and smaller diamonds on the side, just because I'm a sucker for tradition and she doesn't dislike diamonds, she just prefers other stones. I proposed on our holiday to Italy. We had been to Florence and we got a train to Rome. And I proposed at a rooftop restaurant that overlooks the Colosseum at sunset. And when I popped the question, she said no. When we got to our hotel room she said she loved me and the ring and did want to marry me, but that it was too soon and she wanted to wait a little longer. But to be honest, it seems like she won't ever be ready if after 8 years she still wants to wait. It seems to me like she will want to wait a while forever. I told her if she is saying no that's fine, but that I won't be asking a second time. She asked what I meant and I said that I put a lot of thought and money into this, as I paid for the restaurant and the rest of the trip, and that when she's ready she can propose to me and make it as special as I did, because I'm not going to wait for her to tell me she's ready and have me plan another proposal, so it's on her now. She called me ridiculous and said it's not her job to propose, and I just said well it is now, I already did it. The thing is I know this is probably the end of things between us, because if after this long she isn't ready to settle down, then I don't think we are meant to be anymore. I love her more than anything, but I won't keep chasing someone who is always reserved. Stories number 26. Aita for grabbing my wife by the shoulders and moving her aside. I to 7N am married to my wife to 5F, who is currently pregnant. I work full-time, and recently, she has been very vocal about my smoking, which she insists is bad for our child. I understand her concern, but quitting smoking isn't something that happens overnight, it takes time. The other day, when I returned home, she greeted me politely and enthusiastically, asking how work was, etc. But when I got closer, she could smell the smoke. She confronted me about it, saying, "You smell horrible. I thought you quit." I responded, "I can't quit that easily, like overnight, it takes time." This response set her off, and she started yelling at me, saying things like, "You never put your mind to it. You never listen to anything I say. I do the household chores, etc. Have you ever given a damn?" I got really upset by her reaction. In the heat of the moment, when she blocked the way to the living room, I grabbed her by the shoulders and moved her aside so I could get through. I didn't shake or hurt her, just moved her out of the way. She then yelled at me more while I closed the door behind me. I ended up sleeping on the couch that night because I felt awkward about the whole situation. I'm not sure if what I did was right or wrong, and I feel terrible about the whole situation. I hope to patch things up today and have a calm discussion about everything. Stories number 27. The owner's wife won't let me take off. I female 20 have been a waitress, manager at a family Italian restaurant in Virginia for almost a year. Don't let the title of manager fool you, as I am still paid the same $2.15 are as my fellow coworkers, but do 10x more work. I stay late coming off the clock to close the registers, calculate the restaurant's nightly income, deal with difficult customers, organize big parties, run their Facebook accounts, and handle catering orders. I also run errands, write checks, and help take care of personal business for the owner. He is an Italian immigrant and struggles with understanding some stuff. The owner and I get along really well, and I have never had any issues with him. I got married 2 months ago and he gave me a generous wedding gift. And he always thanks me for my hard work, not with money, but the recognition is nice at least. My issue is with his wife. His wife is the co-owner of the restaurant and waitresses when needed. She has never thanked me for anything, despite the fact that my ability to do extra work means she gets to go home and relax by her pool or get her nails done. However, because of this, she never allows me to take off work. I have had to cancel vacations, not be able to go home, or celebrate holidays. and even miss important things for school. I am a full-time college student. I had to take off for 4 weeks end of June beginning July, because I was getting married out of state and going on my honeymoon, and I had to fight tooth and nail, despite them knowing when they hired me 8 months in advance. Well, my in-laws have surprised my husband, male 20, and I with a 2-week family cruise including his whole extended family in December of this year. This is so important to my husband as he has a strong relationship with his cousin who lives 12 hours away. I immediately took off on the calendar and reached out to the owner. He said okay and to let his wife know. I sent a text to his wife to let her know for months in advance that I was going to be away. Her response was no. She said that since that is a busy time of year for the restaurant, I am not allowed to take off. I have not requested any time off since July and have not requested to take off till that December cruise. I don't know what to do as my in-laws already paid for the tickets. But my employer is not allowing me to go since that would mean she would have to do all the work I do for her now. I don't want to quit because I love my coworkers and the owner. But I can't cancel this trip like I have done before, because that is not fair to my husband or his parents who paid for everything. Aita for requesting off. I need advice, please. Stories number 28. Need advice. My fiancé 58 meters expects me 50 for F to make him a full course breakfast during the work week. Are there women who work FT who have time to cook a full breakfast for their man before they start work? My fiancé is used to eating a full breakfast in the morning, which includes bacon, eggs, potatoes and toast or biscuit. We both work a FT hybrid schedule. He says I should cook him breakfast at least 2 days, during the work week and on the weekends when he is hungry. I'm not a breakfast person and I don't want to wake up any earlier than I have to fix breakfast when I can eat yogurt. I feel like he is a grown man and he can fix his own breakfast during the work week. I don't mind cooking breakfast on the weekends, but he should not expect it. He thinks this is totally unacceptable. He even told me today, after he got up at 5:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning, he was hungry and was wondering if I was going to wake up and cook. WTF, am I crazy? I told him if he was up that early, fix your own damn breakfast. He tells me women all over America would do this for their man. So I would like to know where are the women out here who work FT, who are cooking a full breakfast for their man. Stories number 29. Found her diary, it's bad. What would you do her? Extremely strange situation. Hi all. This is going to be a long one. I hope it's worth your reading. I am 27, met an amazing woman, F20 for about 40 days ago. Since then, we have been seeing each other a considerable amount, which includes 10 sleepovers. I know it's early to say, but I love her. She treats me so well, it's as if I've hallucinated the whole thing. We are exclusive but not official. She still counts us as dating. Although I have voiced to her that I'd like to be official. She wants more time, which I understand. Yesterday, I arrived at her place and our plan was to have a nice afternoon, then I'd sleep over. As soon as I arrived, she went to shower. During this, I noticed her diary was open. It is usually hidden. I looked at her entry from hours before I arrived. It was scathing. Her entry spoke about how she's questioning if she should break it with me, and that she finds her ex more suitable. It was a long monologue about how I'm basically wasting my time. I wanted to read her previous entries, but I was extremely hurt. Nauseated, she entered the room shortly after and I acted like everything was cool. We proceeded to spend the evening together, where I observed her behavior towards me. As usual, it was extremely loving. Her actions are so loving and romantic towards me, which does not fit with her writing. I'm extremely confused. She even spoke about how she wants to meet my parents. And just before I left, she told me she'd see me in the next 2 days. What do I do? It was wrong to read her entry, but it was literally right in front of me. Maybe having read this now will save me dearly. Stories number 30. AITAH for losing my shit when my now ex-BF made me homeless. I 29F and my ex for 9M were dating when everything happened. We also both worked for the same company and began dating after telling HR and getting it cleared. My ex and I were on and off since December, because he's a raging narcissist. 1 minute sweet, the next minute nothing I did was right. Back in June, I had gotten severely ill and had to go to the hospital. with an infection in my lower intestine that caused non-stop vomiting and shitting blood. With that being said, I had to miss work for 2.5 days because the hospital said it was also contagious. When I got back to work, my boss asked for a signed DRS note, to which I provided two. One from the urgent care and one from the VA hospital, who ended up prescribing me the meds. My boss was furious. I had done everything right. I was an excellent employee and everyone loved me except her. A couple days after my return to work, my boss approached my desk with HR behind her. Conference room. Now, long story short, I was fired. For literally no reason, which is completely legal in the state of NV where I live. Anyway, the company was a property management company, so I also lived in an apt managed by them. So the company gave me 72 hours to vacate the unit. Yep, you read that right, I had 3 days to pack everything I owned out of a 2-bedroom apartment and leave. It's not legal at all, but I would rather not have a filed eviction against me for taking too longer than 72 hours to leave. While I was fired and evicted, that's when my BF at the time said I could stay with him until I got another job. It was such a relief. While I finished packing my apt, he told me he was helping another female coworker, one that hates me, move out of her situation, and he would help me with the final push in getting everything into a storage unit for me. I was totally good with that. Here is where I lost my shit. The last evening when my friend and I were cleaning out the apt, he calls me. He tells me the other female coworker he was helping was staying the night in his house with her daughter. At first I said I have nowhere to sleep tonight. What am I supposed to do? Especially with a cat and a dog. He texted me back and told me to go find a friend to stay with. That pissed me off more, so I said to him that I'd be happy to have her there. But I would simply wait for everyone to go to bed and I would slip upstairs and crawl into bed with him. She would never know. They would leave first thing in the morning while I was still asleep. No one would be the wiser. But he got livid. Do not come, he said. We continued fighting and I ended up sleeping in my friend's bed in her studio. He ended up bringing me my meds in the middle of the night very angrily after I asked for them and left. A few days later he texted me, you can have the couch tonight, so I did. I went and slept on his couch, and the next morning we sat on his back patio while he proceeded to scream at me about how absolutely selfish I was. When I tried to speak, he cut me off him speaking. After he was done, I looked up from my coffee and asked when he wanted me gone. He glared at me and said, I want you out by the time I'll leave for work. I never screamed or yelled, but I slammed what little I had into my truck and left. I asked him if he cheated on me with her, and he says nothing will ever be between her and I. And you asking is the problem. You need to go get help. Am I the asshole? Stories number 31. I'm angry at the Christian God even though I don't believe in him. I have been brainwashed into believing the Christian God since birth. In my adult years, have gone through severe traumas and PTSD. I feel God never protected me even though I devoted so many years to him. And I accepted that, but what I can't accept is that I have prayed for some inner peace from all the PTSD. I'm talking thousands of prayers over these past several years. And nothing. Not an ounce of peace. In fact, the PTSD has gotten so bad I wake up at night with panic attacks. I hate this God. He has failed me in every way. I hate him. He is sadistic. He watches children get raped and tortured each day when he could stop it from happening in the first place. I need help. I need to stop believing in this evil God. But it's been so ingrained in my mind. How do I believe in a more pure loving source? Is there even such a thing? What to eat? Stories number 32. Greedy parent who will contest will. Yes, I have included the state or country in the post. I am in Arizona, which allows for holographic wills. My estate is about $500,000 in cash and bank accounts. No real property, no kids, no spouse. Currently I have a holographic will that leaves the entirety of my estate to a non-profit. The thing is, my estranged mother and brother are extremely money hungry. I have not spoken to them in 10 years, although they have managed to find me as have moved around the country. I have a few questions. Would they even know if I die? If they know if die, I am positive they will come forward to try to collect whatever I have left. In the event that I still only have a holographic will, I am 100% positive they will try to contest it, say it's a fake, forge their own, something like that. What's the best way to make sure my estate does in fact go to the non-profit if selected? I feel like I normally would not need anything beyond the holographic will, but I'm not sure how it would hold up against greedy family members. Stories number 33. To my ex-GF who is currently in rehab for mental health issues. Should I send this letter? I may send this, as her rehabilitation has just started. The last time we talked, she interrupted a multi-month silence to vent, which started with me listening and being supportive, and ended in a huge fight where I felt attacked and berated unfairly. I have lots of hard feelings about this and feel she treated me terribly, so it's hard to forgive her. But I still love her and I want her to feel better. I know she's in a lot of pain, and that's the only reason she was capable of being so terrible to me, but it still hurts. I hope you're feeling better. I'm really happy that you're getting some space and some help. And I'm proud of you for recognizing what you need and speaking up and saying it. I can't even imagine how hard that must have been to do. I admire the shit out of you for your bravery and, as always, your relentless dedication to growth. It's a quality that not a lot of people have, and probably no one has to the degree that you do. I hope, while you're taking this journey, that you find new ways to grow and ways to deal with pain and grief. I think you're gonna do so good. I want you to know that I'm thinking about you all the time, wishing and hoping for the best, and trusting that you're a really capable person who will come out on the other end of this thing, so refreshed and feeling so much better. In the meantime, I'm gonna take a little bit of space. I'm still a little overwhelmed with the way things have been between you and me, and I don't think it's good for me to talk right now. I'm gonna take some time for myself to process and try to grow. I hope you'll use this time to focus on yourself and do whatever you need to do to feel better. If you feel like writing back and telling me how you're doing, then I'll always welcome it. But I need a little more time before I can really talk again. I love you so much and care about you so much, and I feel so many difficult emotions for you. It makes me sad that you were in so much pain. I really hope you're feeling better already and trusting the process that you'll be okay on the other end. One time my friend told me, when one person suffers, we all suffer. And I was like, yeah, whatever dude, cause we were tripping on mushrooms. But I can't stop thinking about it and how true it is. It gives me a sense of comfort to know those people are not alone. We all experience the effects of it together. DTW, you're a really fucking good mom. I don't think I ever said that enough, and am certainly no authority on the subject, but I just know how dedicated and ride or die you are for your kids. That's also a really rare quality and you should know that, even though I'm sure you do know it already. I'm gonna go for a while. When you feel up to it, tell me how you've been and catch me up.